This video is sponsored by Hey Gears.
Hey guys, Sean here, and today, finally getting started with the World Eaters. I think I'm gonna go big first and start with Angron.
Nope. There's something else that's been waiting way too long for paint. Remember what's in this box?
No?
It's your Baneblade.
Oh.
I remember buying this sucker almost 3 years ago from my friendly local game store that has since closed. The Baneblade is a unique model in 40k. It's the biggest tank, but it's also 8 models in one. Jay magnetized this up for me, so I have the option of taking any of the variants. Opening it up, I now remember he left a little surprise inside. There are a lot of parts to have in order to get every option. My favorite variant is the Shadow Sword, the anti-Titan variant. It's not as general purpose as the classic Baneblade, but it has a volcano cannon. Strength 24, flat damage 12. Glorious.
Every Baneblade is enormous. My biggest Space Marine vehicle, the Repulsor, is dwarfed by this thing. The extra top that has the Baneblade cannon is bigger than the whole transport. God damn, I forgot how big that thing is. Finally, we found a model that has more guns than the Rogaldorn battle tank.
Who could have thought?
Honestly, I would much rather fight this thing than the Rogaldorn battle tank.
Really?
I hate the Rogaldorn. It's the worst thing that's ever happened to 40k. So do you have any color schemes in mind?
I'm thinking just simple, like my dark blue and also the white, just to keep it simple on everything. No camo.
Yeah, camo would be hard because it's very customizable. It might not be impossible, but yeah, this is gonna be a project. Step 1 was knocking off all the dust that has accumulated over the last 2.5 years of this thing sitting in my basement. And while we got it all cleaned up, Sean and I went back and forth on color selection.
In my army, my tanks have a lot of variety. My Lehman Rust battle tanks are blue camo. My Sentinels are Arctic field camo. And my Rogaldorns are a snow white. So I really need to think about how to make my Baneblade pattern unique. And also I need to think about this extra armor. I've printed up a few sets of vehicle bits and a bunch of the Armor 2 packs. These bits are available on EonsOfBattle.com. They are glue-on extras that I have been excited to try out since Jay used them on his Space Marine tanks. And these were all very easy to print out, thanks to today's sponsor, Hey Gears.
We recently received the Hey Gears RS Turbo, and it's been a major help getting everything for this project ready and looking its best. We have plenty of our armor bits packs we want to use on the Baneblade to save time over making plastic hard armor, and this printer has made it easier than ever to get everything ready to go. I've got it pre-supported here, so just drop in, sort, and it's ready to export. Hey Gears' own slicer is easy to use, and after putting in my prints with one click, it's already ready to go. And I don't even need to go to my printer to start printing. Just send the file off from my computer, and in practically no time, it's ready to be scraped off the build plate and washed. The supports came off very easily after a quick shake to clean them in the wash, and then it's dry. It's easy to pop these in the cure station, and then so many of these are ready to go in a fraction of the time it would take to make all these bits by hand. The high quality results are impossible to argue with too. In a matter of hours, I have these perfectly formed bits that look awesome and are just waiting to go on the Baneblade. I think I'll need to get some more of these going, and with the RS Turbo printer, I can just keep on going and going. If you want to get this printer for yourself and see why you'll never look back after trying resin printing, you can follow the link in the description to get your hands on the RS Turbo today. Sean and I dug into the vehicle bits using some poster putty to dry fit them and see what fits and what looks good. The batch consistency from the RS Turbo was excellent. Printing the same bit over and over and making way more than we thought we needed was good, because we ended up using up almost everything. The printer is so easy that when we were running low, we were able to get extra batches running smoothly without worrying about parts failing. You don't need a lot of previous resin printing experience to get good results. It was more of a challenge to make sure that everything fit, and we were still able to get the tank taken apart and swapped between one of the other variants. Eventually we got the extra armor panels all figured out, and we still had a little room left to put on some more storage. The Baneblade already has some huge fuel barrels, but you can never have too many. I wonder just how many jerry cans it takes to fill this sucker up. We also stuck down some extra smoke launchers, and it's already looking pretty cool with just the bare plastic and resin bits. And I think it's gonna be easier to paint these bits up separately. Also, these bits are available, made to order from EonsOfBattle.com. We pulled off all the armor, taken lots of pictures, and sticking them down to cardboard in the exact arrangement that they'll have to go back onto. This is looking a little complicated, but I think it'll work. Well, that was a fun detour. We got them looking really, really good, and now we have them back to how they were an hour ago, but we have all of these. What do you think the odds we get all of these back in the exact same place are?
100%. I mean, we put them all together very well.
Yeah, I think it'll work out. I think this will make it easier. I have a hunch. But now it's time to see if that hunch is gonna pay off. We gotta paint this guy. I hope I have enough primer.
Priming usually goes pretty quick, but the Baneblade and all its parts took a very long time. Jay kept handing me part after part, and it took 2 coats to get everything ready. Don't tell Jay, but I totally covered up his graffiti.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah, only took 5 minutes.
Yeah, or maybe almost 2 hours. But now it's time to do basically that same exact thing again, at least once, to everything.
Oh boy.
For colors, we decided on an Arctic blue camo idea. And to start, we went with Triumphant Navy, a very saturated dark blue color. I'm hoping if we go bright at first, the tank will stay vibrant even after everything we do to it. After we got it all blued, I broke out this new thing that I bought, drawing gum. This is liquid silicone and hopefully it'll make some unique patterns. We sponged this all over the tank, trying to cover about 50%. In some spots, we used a disposable brush to connect some of the sponging into larger silicone sections. Hopefully this works. I've had mixed results with silicone stuff before, but I've got a good feeling about this. Once the silicone layer dried, we grabbed some Thunderous Blue and I sprayed this on, but not everywhere, just the high spots. Anywhere that catches the light. After the second bluing, it was back to the silicone and we sponged everything again.
I don't know if I see the matrix yet, but Jay seems confident. After blue, we switched to ash gray and re-base coated everything. It was a little scary to completely cover the cool blue under this gray, and it took 2 coats to get it to cover. I just have to trust the process. After the gray, we used white ink to brighten up the top of things to pure white, so now my Baneblade is looking a lot more like my Rogel Dorn's, only with twice the guns.
Finally, the paint is all on there and under there, and hopefully it'll want to come off. I started trying to drag a little bit of dry silicone over, and this just seemed to scuff the paint. Then I tried to carefully pluck the silicone up and it kinda worked, but it was really tedious. As a last-ditch effort, I took a brush tip on my rotary tool and I used this to try and quickly knock off the silicone. It worked a little until magic happened. The silicone peeled up and got stuck in the bristles, and it became really good at pulling up the stuff. With my gummy tool, the paint came up dramatically. Just touching this everywhere pulled up the silicone spots and it left the normal paint undamaged. It took just a few minutes of rubbing this all over to pull off all the silicone, and while I was pulling it off, Sean used a big old dry brush to rub away the fragile edges of the silicone. This 1-2 punch did a shockingly good job of making perfect paint chips. In no time, we had the whole tank done, and as icing on the cake, this didn't even destroy my brush. The silicone came off, so I still have my brush tool. Now that we have the chips, we gave everything a nice coat of satin varnish. I'm sure that there's some silicone that we didn't manage to find, so this layer should keep any remains trapped underneath forever. We set the parts aside to dry, and while we were waiting, we hit all the armor with some base coats. Woodland camo mixed with a little bit of black paint to darken it. Everything got a base coat of this, and then we sprayed on some army green from above to give these pieces a little army zenithal. Then we used camouflage green and dry brushed this on to bring out all the little details in the armor plates. We've got a heck of a lot of paint on a heck of a lot of places. That took about a day. The goo stuck to the end of the brush in the rotary tool is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Worked pretty good. This is my favorite chipping I think I've ever done.
It looks fantastic.
Yeah, I think by the end of tomorrow, it's gonna be a finished Baneblade. I definitely knew that chipping was gonna work. I'm definitely not using your models to try out new ideas.
Great.
Day 1 was a lot of big operations. Now it's time to tackle all the little things. The guns. If you can call these little. All these bits are already black primed, so we took ironclad gray and sprayed this on from above. On some of the guns, like the ones attached to the hull, they needed to get re-base coated in black before they could get airbrushed. And while we had the black out, we also base coated the treads. After we airbrushed these parts, all the guns are looking factory fresh, so they need a little weathering. But before that, it's time for some decals.
The Baneblade has a lot of guns. How many guns does the Baneblade have? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Do heavy bolters count twice?
They count every single time, even though they're twin. Mm-hmm. I think I count 9.
I think there's more than that. Because there's... Are you remembering...
I remember those.
Are you remembering...
I remember that.
Are you remembering...
I'm gonna say I'm correct. And the comment section will prove me wrong.
The sponsons are 3 each if you... Or 2 each because of the twin. So... That's at least 8?
Leave a comment of how right I am. I love a decal. And I still have a lot of the Krieg decals from helping Sean put together his Deathcore Krieg army sets. On a big old tank like this, it's physically impressive because of its size, but I want it to look interesting no matter how close you look. We wrapped these skull bands around the barrels, and we loaded up all sorts of military markings everywhere we could fit. The Krieg transfer sheet is loaded, so we had lots of options. Once they were in place, we used our original base coat colors to sponge over these so that they're just as distressed as the paint underneath. Getting into the groove, doing little things, we also painted some yellow bands on the smaller guns, like the stubbers and las cannons.
We spent the morning making the guns look pristine, and now we have to make them look all beat up. We used deep gray paint and sponged this on all over. Then we switched to 2 thin coats plate armor on a dry brush and dusted everything, so that there was a metallic shine. Looking at the piles of guns everywhere, it looks more like we're painting a whole army instead of just one model. There are still some parts to pick out, like these fuel drums in the back, that got painted with basilisk red. And this also went on the extra fuel tanks from the Tank and Vehicle Accessories bits pack. While we were back here, we picked out the jerry cans with some camo green and sunburst ochre mixed with black. After that, we kept up the small brushwork and picked out all the Aquillas with gold. Finally, it's looking like we've made some real progress.
I think finally everything has the appropriate colors on it.
So we're done?
Sort of. We're getting darn close to assembly. Titanic models they really take a lot of work. But this is looking pretty spicy. So blue. Your guards are blue.
Yeah. I liked blue for the longest time. And then it happened to work out because there's a game called Darktide where the enemy are Traitor Guard and the Loyalist Guardsman Regiment that they come from, the Mobian 6th, happen to have these exact colors. So I guess I'm a Mobian player, but also I collect Krieg. I want to collect normal green and brown Cadians. One day I'll get Steel Legion because I'm one of those guys. But, right now I got this Baneblade.
Guard are fine. If I was ever to collect a guard army, I think I would do Talon. Talon are pretty cool.
Why?
I like the desert. Almost all my armies are set in the desert. I don't know what it is, but yellow bases. It's what I live for. Finally, we can start gluing. These sponsons have been the bane of our existence. There are so many pieces, but now it's all getting consolidated. We sanded off the paint from the glue spots and then carefully glued everything together so that they can spin and rotate freely. Each of these sponsons is a las cannon and a twin heavy bolter or twin heavy flamer. Each turret has more firepower than a Hippogriff AFV. The 4 sponsons glued to the sides, and then there's the demolisher cannon in the front of the Baneblade. Then the smoke launchers that go on either side of the turret, and the lamp sticks into the top of the Baneblade, and the fuel drums on the back. We can finally see the painting desk out from underneath all the parts of the Baneblade, and now that it's finally built, we can weather it. To make it look grimy in the recesses, we took noble skin and put this through the airbrush, spraying all the edges and in the recesses. This gave the tank some nice dimension and helped some of the parts stand out from one another. Then came the enamels. We dripped this over some of the rivets and on all the recesses, edges, and panels. Through capillary action, this flows really well and we only had to do a little bit of cleanup on some of the bigger spills. To remove it, we used some chunks of makeup sponge soaked in mineral spirits. And in some spots, we used some extra mineral spirits to rehydrate the paint, and then we dragged down with a brush to make the grime streak. That's the Baneblade all done, but now to add back the accessories. And to do that, we grabbed some Milliput Black. It's nice to have black Milliput so that if any of this ends up visible, it'll be black instead of the usual Milliput yellow. We went back to our reference photos and our layouts and we glued the armor back on, using the Milliput to sandwich in between so that there's plenty of surface to glue to.
The reason these armor panels are green instead of a matching blue or gray is so that it looks like my guard regiment got some extra armor as supplies and installed them directly in the field before they could be painted. It's a little fun storytelling. They didn't have time to touch up the paint. It was just slapping these on and then right back to beating up Jay's armies.
It's also nice to have a contrasting color. The warmth of the green pops next to the cold blue-gray of the armor. These bits really make the tank unique. And these bits are available at our website, EonsOfBattle.com. Over there, we have all sorts of hobby goodies: Gamer Grass Tufts, Great Head Studio Bits for your Space Marines, Army Painter paints, brushes, basing cork, ultra thin and ultra thick super glue, and we've got terrain. It's the best way to support us doing what we do by getting a membership. Each month, members get a credit good for any one terrain pack we've ever made, or the brand new one. This August, we have created a Deadly Swamp Bits pack, a set of natural terrain bits to help set your miniatures in a perilous natural environment. There are some rock walls and fallen logs for figures to take cover behind or stand proudly on, and included are some small bits for adding natural details to your minis' bases, and spooky trees for blocking line of sight. All these bits are perfect for scatter, and if you arrange these parts in a circle, you can make some very ominous pools of water. This set was designed by us and is available at EonsBattle.com. Goddamn! Gluing on 100 little panels was a little much, but I think it was so worth it. Look at this sucker. I am partial to the Stormlord, not to be confused with the Swarmlord or the Stormlord Imhotep, the Stormlord for the Necrons. The Baneblade Stormlord, I like that one. It's the trooper one.
I mean, I love the normal Baneblade, but I think my favorite is still the Shadow Sword because it has a little extra gun for more gun.
There is something to the normal Baneblade. It's a lot of guns.
13 of them.
Yep, I was slightly off. All right, now we're really getting close. All of these colors are kind of dark and dull. I think now we hit the lights with something crazy, and then we put the snow on the treads.
We used some painter's tape to mask off cones coming from the headlights. Then we sprayed a little white paint over the lenses and on all the little eye sensors and lamps all over the Baneblade. This is a base coat before we add the color. We then used red ink for all the lenses and each little bulb. I can't remember if the lights on any of my other tanks are painted, so I might have to go back and do this on the rest of them. Hopefully that'll take less time than it took me to paint the Baneblade. Then for the treads, we want some snow stuck to them. So we took some Army Painter snow and mixed in a little crushed glass. The The crushed glass is shiny, so this paint will look like wet, compacted snow. We mixed these powders with matte Mod Podge, and then we rubbed it all into the treads. We laid it on really thick, and then wiped it away with a wet paper towel. Finally, we were assembling it for the last time.
It's actually done. A Titanic model in 2 days.
Yeah, it's hard to believe.
And how many variants of the Baneblade does this make?
7, I think.
And name all 7 variants of the Baneblade right now.
Baneblade, the Hellhammer, Bane Sword, Doomhammer.
I think it's Banehammer.
I said Banehammer.
There's also
You said Banehammer. There's also Doomhammer.
Stormlord.
Stormlord, my favorite.
Shadowstorm.
I believe you.
I did it. I did it.
I feel like one's missing.
It might be Forge World only. We'll see.
The famous Sean's Baneblade is actually finally painted. It took a while, but I feel like it's only because it's physically large. It wasn't really that hard to paint. Like, I think these colors, if you were painting something a reasonable size that didn't have a bunch of extra pieces hanging out everywhere, I think that this actually would paint up relatively quick. I think it would look good on some Russes.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I love this color scheme because, I mean, this is probably the only Mobian 6th Baneblade in the world. I mean, leave a comment if you also paint Mobian 6th, but I think that part of it is pretty cool.
Somebody else paint a Mobian 6 Baneblade so that this is no longer unique. It had become kind of a meme, your Baneblade being unpainted. And I kind of miss those days.
Yeah.
She's doing great. But now it is finally done. Your first Titanic model.
Yes.
And what is going to be the second Titanic model?
Another Baneblade?
Probably. But if it wasn't a Baneblade, what would it be?
A knight? A Chaos Knight.
Chaos Knight would be kind of cool. The Baneblade, Doomhammer, Banehammer, Stormlord, Storm Surge, Storm Eagle Jetbike. It's all Dunyan rings. I think it turned out pretty wizard.
Yeah. So when are you going to paint that repulsor?
Sean, go home.
Oh.